It's 1993. Gaming's 16-bit revolution is in full swing, and the competition is brutal. Franchises are leveling up or falling by the wayside, and in the middle of it all, Capcom drops a bombshell, Mega Man X. For fans of the original Mega Man, this wasn't just a sequel, it was a bold leap into the future. Edgier, faster, smarter. But was it a reinvention or a gamble? For nearly a decade, Mega Man had been the face of challenging, side-scrolling action on the NES. But by the early 90s, the series was starting to feel a little dated. 7 games in, and as much as we love them, even the Blue Bombers' biggest fans had to admit, it was getting a little repetitive. Capcom saw the writing on the wall. The move to the Super Nintendo was a chance to do something bigger, something fresh, something that could bring Mega Man into the new era without losing what made it special. And so, the team went back to the drawing board. What they came up with wasn't just an evolution, it was a revolution. This wasn't your dad's Mega Man. Mega Man X took everything fans thought they knew and turned it on its head. From the opening notes of its electrifying soundtrack to the first time you scaled the wall with a dash jump, it was clear. This was a game that demanded attention. But what makes Mega Man X more than just a successful sequel? Why does it stand out as a masterpiece that shaped the future of platforming? To answer that, we need to dig deep into its origins, its gameplay, its art, its legacy. This is the story of Mega Man X. By the early 1990s, Mega Man was already a household name. The series had defined action platforming on the NES, but success came at a cost. 7 games in 6 years meant even the hardcore fans were starting to feel some fatigue. Capcom knew they couldn't just keep releasing the same formula and expect it to stick. Something had to change. And the arrival of the Super Nintendo provided the perfect opportunity to reinvent the franchise. The push for innovation came from Capcom's own ranks. Keiji Inafune, a key figure behind the Mega Man series, had always been deeply involved in shaping the character and the world. But Inafune wasn't satisfied with simply updating the visuals for a new console. He wanted to take risks. In interviews, he admitted that the original concept for Mega Man X was born out of a desire to mature the franchise, to push its boundaries, not just in gameplay, but in tone and storytelling. If classic Mega Man was an arcade-style romp, Mega Man X would be a narrative-driven epic. The first challenge was figuring out how to differentiate X, the new protagonist, from the original Mega Man. Inafune envisioned X as a more complex character, a robot designed not just to fight, but to think, to feel, and to question. This wasn't just a subtle narrative tweak, it was the foundation for the entire game. X's doubt about his role as a hero and his reluctance to embrace violence mirrored the creative team's desire to explore more mature themes. The shift in tone wasn't just about storytelling. The design philosophy for Mega Man X was built around making the player feel empowered and immersed in a world that felt alive. Inafune and his team wanted players to experience growth, not just by gaining new abilities, but by seeing the character evolve visually and mechanically throughout the game. This is where the concept of the armor upgrades came into play. Unlike the original series, where Mega Man's abilities were tied to defeating bosses, Mega Man X gave players the chance to discover Dr. Light's hidden capsules, which dramatically improved X's abilities over time. It was a simple but revolutionary idea. Gameplay progression tied directly to player exploration. This setting was another bold move. Where the original Mega Man games leaned heavily on cartoonish design and lighthearted visuals, Mega Man X embraced a darker, cyberpunk-inspired aesthetic. The team drew on influences from animes like Akira and Bubblegum Crisis, blending futuristic cities with industrial wastelands to create a world that felt both familiar and ominously dystopian. The result was a tonal shift that felt perfectly in step with the 90s. Edgy, gritty, but still packed with vibrant energy fans expected from Capcom. And let's talk about the enemies. While the original Mega Man bosses were colorful characters, the Mavericks of Mega Man X were designed to be intimidating. These weren't just robots, they were rogue Reploids, machines with intelligence and agency who had turned against humanity. Sigma, the game's primary antagonist, wasn't just a mad scientist or an evil overlord. He was a former hero, a commander who chose rebellion because he believed humans were inferior. It added a layer of complexity to the conflict that made Sigma more than just another villain. He was a character with motives, someone you could almost understand. In building Mega Man X, Capcom was taking a massive risk. They could have played it safe, stuck to the formula that had sold millions of copies on the NES, but the team understood that evolution was necessary. They weren't just designing a game, they were defining what the future of Mega Man could be. This wasn't just the next step, it was a new blueprint for the franchise.
When you think about it, there's not something in the world that is just stronger than everyone.
The moment you press start in Mega Man X, you're thrown straight into the action with the iconic highway stage. No menus, no tutorials, just you, X, and a chaotic stretch of broken roads, Mavericks, and explosions. From the get-go, it's clear this isn't just your average platformer. This game isn't holding your hand, but it's teaching you nonetheless. This level, considered one of the finest examples of a tutorial-free design, introduces nearly every major mechanic organically, without a single word of text. So what are these mechanics? At first glance, Mega Man X doesn't seem to be too far removed from its NES predecessor. You run, you jump, you shoot. But within minutes, you start noticing how much more fluid and dynamic X feels. The controls are tighter, the animations are smoother, and then comes the dash, a game changer that redefines how you approach combat and traversal. With the press of a button, X surges forward, gaining speed and momentum that fundamentally alters how you engage with enemies and obstacles. The dash isn't just a gimmick, it's the backbone of the entire experience, demanding quick reflexes and precise timing. Then there's the wall climb. Introduced in the highway stage, it's a simple yet transformative addition. The ability to cling to walls and scale vertical surfaces turns every level into a playground of possibilities. Platforms that once seemed unreachable become fair game. Enemy encounters take on new dimensions as you can now approach from above or below. It's empowering, but it also keeps you on your toes. Levels are designed to challenge these new abilities, forcing you to master them in increasingly creative ways. And speaking of levels, Mega Man X shines in its stage design. The game's 8 main stages, each themed around a Maverick boss, are crafted with an unprecedented level of care and detail. Take Storm Eagle's stage, for example, a towering airship that feels alive, with gusts of wind threatening to knock you off platforms, and an explosive finale that literally sends the ship crashing into another level. Or Chill Penguin's frosty landscape, where you get your first taste of the armor upgrades, a feature that became a hallmark of the series. These upgrades aren't just a gimmick, they're a cornerstone of the game's sense of progression. Dr. Light's capsules, hidden throughout the stages, offer enhancements like a stronger X-Buster, protective armor, and even the dash ability itself if you tackle Chill Penguin first. Unlike the classic series, where upgrades were directly tied to defeating robot masters, Mega Man X rewards exploration and curiosity. You're encouraged to revisit stages with new abilities, uncovering secrets, and experimenting with strategies. This interconnectedness gives the game a depth that was rare for platformers of its time. Combat is another area where Mega Man X evolves the formula. The familiar rock-paper-scissors dynamic of the original series is still here. Beating Mavericks earns you their weapons, which are particularly effective against other bosses. But Mega Man X takes it a step further. Mavericks now have attacks that dynamically respond to your positioning and tactics, making battles feel more like a test of skill than rote memorization. Flame Mammoth's fire-spewing chaos or Spark Mandrill's lightning-fast lunges keep you constantly on edge, demanding adaptability and quick thinking. But what really sets Mega Man X apart is how its mechanics, level design, and progression work together to tell a story. It's subtle but brilliant. The game opens up with X feeling underpowered, outmatched by the likes of Vile and his ride armor. As you collect upgrades and defeat Mavericks, you see X transform, not just visually, but mechanically. He moves faster, hits harder, and takes less damage. By the time you reach Sigma's fortress, you've grown alongside him, and the game reflects that evolution in every aspect of its design.
After Sigma's betrayal, Zero actually becomes the leader of the Reploids and things like that.
When Mega Man X hit the shelves in 1993, it was met with near universal acclaim. Critics and players alike recognized it as a bold step forward, not just for the Mega Man franchise, but for platformers as a genre. From a critical perspective, Mega Man X was seen as a triumph of evolution. Magazines like Electronic Gaming Monthly and GamePro praised its innovative mechanics, particularly the introduction of the dash and wall climbing abilities, which they called game changers in the genre. Reviewers marveled at the smooth controls, dynamic level design, and the way the game rewarded exploration without overwhelming players. The SNES's graphical and sound capabilities were also widely celebrated, with many publications noting how the game's presentation pushed the system to its limits. Players were equally impressed. For fans of the original Mega Man series, X felt like a natural progression. It honored its roots while offering a new level of depth and sophistication. For newcomers, it was an accessible yet challenging entry point, thanks to its tutorial-level brilliance and empowering gameplay mechanics. It wasn't just another Mega Man game, it was the Mega Man game, one that expanded the franchise's appeal to a broader audience. Commercially, Mega Man X was a success, selling over 1.16 million copies worldwide, a significant achievement for a third-party title on the NES. It proved that Capcom's gamble on reinvention had paid off, giving the company confidence to continue exploring new directions for the series. The success also cemented Mega Man X as one of the Super Nintendo's defining titles, sitting comfortably alongside juggernauts like Super Mario World and The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. But what truly sets Mega Man X apart is its long-term legacy. More than 3 decades later, it remains a beloved classic, a touchstone for game design and a benchmark for what a sequel can achieve. Its influence can be felt in the DNA of countless games that followed, from action platformers to modern Metroidvanias. Titles like Ori and the Blind Forest and Hollow Knight draw directly from Mega Man X's emphasis on fluid movement, player progression, and environmental storytelling. However, the franchise that Mega Man X spawned has had a rockier path. The immediate sequels, X2 and X3, were well received but struggled to replicate the magic of the original. Later entries like X6 and X7 faced criticism for poor design choices and a lack of polish, leading to frustration among fans who felt the series had lost its way. Still, Mega Man X itself remains untarnished, standing as a high point not just for the franchise, but for Capcom's entire catalog.
Will be a wellspring of hope, or usher in an era of utter chaos.
Here's the thing about Mega Man X. It's not just a game. It's the game. The original X took everything we loved about Mega Man, the tight controls, the brilliant level design, the soul-crushing difficulty, and slapped a jet engine on it. It was fast, flashy, and ridiculously cool. It's no wonder how it became the gold standard for what sequels should be. Familiar but fresh, ambitious without being pretentious. But like a rock star that partied too hard, the series burned bright and fizzled fast. By Mega Man X, it was trying to be 3D like Mario and Sonic, and ended up being more like your dad awkwardly joining TikTok. Yet the brilliance of the original Mega Man remains untouchable. It's the comfort food of gaming. Timeless, endlessly replayable, and unapologetically fun. Even its quirks, like the hidden Hadouken or Chill Penguin's bizarre belly slide, are endearing. It's the rare game that feels just as good today as it did in 1993. A reminder of a time when video games didn't just entertain, they amazed. So whether you're a nostalgic veteran or a newbie wondering what all the fuss is about, there's never been a better time to revisit Mega Man X. Just be careful, it might make you wonder why Capcom didn't stop while they were ahead. But hey, at least we'll always have that highway stage. And let's face it, we'd all happily dash jump back into that world again in a heartbeat. If you enjoyed exploring the history and making of Mega Man X, click this video here to see more from the Retro Reload. And, as always, thank you for watching.